Brother Trey, do you think you have good work-life balance, bro?
I'm in a pretty cushy job. I think it's I think I have really good work.
How do you describe like what do you think is like the ideal ratio of work to good life balance?
Look,
for you?
I think for me it would have to be at least at least a day or two work from home.
Yeah.
So you can maybe get like errands and stuff out at lunch break or whatever.
Yeah.
Go to the gym if you want in your lunch break, or change your hours around. Flexible hours would be good. And then just making sure you're not working late hours all the time and shit.
Yeah.
Because too often I hear people saying like, oh, I start at 7 and I finish at like 6 or 7 or some shit. I'm like, bro, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, I think like for me, like work-life balance-wise, like I'm enjoying my work and it's not really affecting my personal life that much. But at the same time, we don't have that level of responsibility either. It's like we don't have kids or whatever.
Yeah.
It's for people who like have kids, like, they're like, oh yeah, we don't get time to spend with our kids. We have to put them in daycare or whatever. They're the ones that really complain about the work-life balance.
Bro,
stuff.
the weirdest thing, like I was reading Reddit like all the time, but
You read Reddit, yeah.
I was reading these anecdotal points about these people who like, oh, I lost my job in 2 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I took this less paying job, which was way more flexible, work from home for the most part, and then they got to raise their kid properly and stuff. And they're like, I would never go back to what I was doing.
Yeah.
Like I love this.
Yeah, I think the pandemic, what it did, like for people, like because you know how we like too orientated about like a money figure.
Yeah.
Like we were like, oh, money's going low, life must be bad.
Yeah.
But then you don't factor in like people weren't like able to value like, oh yeah, spending time with the family. That doesn't have a money amount to it, but it still gives you satisfaction or gives you more satisfaction than money would.
Yeah.
So pandemic really like switched it up for all of us. Like before that, bro, people were just like slaving it out, didn't even consider like, oh, I should quit my job or I should change what I'm my career or whatever. But as soon as the pandemic started, they're like, oh bro, there's such thing as a work-life balance. Yeah, what if I want to work from home? Like screw you, I'm not coming in type of thing.
Yeah, and it was such a good thing, and it propelled a lot of other things as well, like flexible working and stuff like that too. So it's
Bro, like the amount of times I've heard like, oh, mental health, like, oh yeah, we need to look after it after the pandemic. Before that, they were like, bro, just do your work. It's just like get it over and done with.
Shut your ass up and
just
do
get
your
it
work,
over and done with. Yeah. And I think the pandemic, like we were kind of going there, but like how like things are like, oh yeah, we've thought about this idea, but 10 years down the line we'll start implementing.
They finally implement it.
Yeah, but this kind of forced everyone's hand to like, oh yeah, no bro, like I don't want to be slaving myself for the rest of my life. There was anxiety like induced by just the pandemic. Like people were worried about, they're like, oh yeah, I don't have like a long-term I don't have a long-term plan with this job. Maybe potentially it's not paying me as much as I should be earning, that kind of stuff. So people really started honing into like focusing on that.
And those employers that didn't allow work from home and stuff, they copped the bad end of it because they didn't want to allow work from home. A lot of, especially in tech and stuff, they would have switched over almost immediately. And I mean, you can justify a low paying job if you're getting rid of like a 2-hour commute daily and fuel costs, car costs, etc. So it made sense for a lot of people.
Yeah, and I think it's important for our generation, not to say we're like kind of weak or whatever, but like we like value this like work-life balance thing probably more than the previous generation.
I agree. But look, bro, I feel like some like senior executives and shit, like the partners or whatever you want to call them, who are working like 12-hour days, I feel like they just hate their family, bro. Yeah, they don't want to go home.
Maybe they're divorced, bro. They're like, they don't have family. They're like so old enough that like, oh yeah, it's like, well, this is our life now.
Like even if you don't value family, I still don't understand why you'd spend it at work, man. I'd even prefer to like, I don't know, just do my own
shout
thing,
at people at work. They couldn't do it to their kids. Their kids left, so they're like, oh yeah, you guys can't leave. You need the money. So yeah, and then you heard about that term like the Great Resignation, right?
Yeah. I was thinking to bring it up.
Yeah, that's what like started like happening, like big quit, Great Resignation. Like people were really considering like the current job I'm in, I'm not earning as much as I should be. Like inflation's going much higher.
Yeah.
I should leave this job and go for another one so I can earn that bigger pay or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah. So our generation, like definitely, like if employers want to keep us, they would need to have remote work like available, or else like no one's gonna take that job.
Exactly. And there's like, it's so different to 20 years ago when there was loyalty to the employer or company, right? These days people, like the only way you're gonna get pay rises and stuff is if you're job hopping or company hopping, sorry. Because quite often you're not going to get that promotion you're after in the same company multiple times over.
Yeah, because they incrementally increase your salary. They're not going to like give you a 10%.
Yeah, by like 3 or 5% or something. Whereas if you job hop, you can easily get a 10-20% increase in salary.
Let's actually start the episode.
Yeah.
This is the Trash Talk Experience. I'm Abob. This is my friend Trey. Son is on a sabbatical, living it up in Asia somewhere. I'm keen to hear this, bro. Once he comes back,
bro, we're gonna put a tracker on him and just like,
oh, I wish we did that, bro.
See where
like,
he is and what he does.
If he had a phone, like we could keep track on him. Like you just install the app and just see what he's up to.
So he went to Southeast Asia, he's exploring a couple countries there, right? And like after a few days, like I messaged him. I'm like, when's your flight, right? And he doesn't respond. Maybe he was on the flight, I don't know. And then a few days later, I like reply to my own message and say, brother, you forgot about us already?
Yeah.
He's like, no, I haven't forgotten about you. He sends me a picture of a burger.
That's what he said. He sent me a picture of like a zipper up shirt with Playboy written on it. It's like, I'm getting this for you. I'm like, bro, are you enjoying your holiday or are you just doing these silly things?
Bro, I'm like, you could have had a burger in 50 million places here, bro.
I don't think so. He's enjoying it because he keeps like looking at the views we're getting on every.
He's still focused on the views.
He's like, I'm like, you're not enjoying yourself, bro. Then, anyway, so yeah, this because of this like new recent like emergence of like people finding work-life balance.
Yeah.
This 4-day work week type thing has like taken like the world by storm at the moment. There's trials going on around the world. Pretty sure it's happening in Australia, but I've only heard majority of the responses or like evidence coming out of UK at the moment.
Yeah. I actually I was looking at journal articles yesterday around. I was trying to see what sort of research there was around it to back it. And I was actually seeing articles from like 1970s and shit. So it's been an idea that's floated around for a long time.
1970s?
Yeah.
Bro, back then people didn't even like they would be like, you're weak mentally if you're thinking about this like less work type thing.
I guess it would be like, it would still, I mean, it would have been harder back then because there's not work from home. At least now we have flexible hours, flexible location. We can work remotely and stuff like that. But it was interesting to see that I had no idea it's been floating around this long.
Yeah.
And I guess people just keep revisiting it and seeing the, trialing it and seeing if it's actually feasible or not.
Yeah, I think this time it like seems like it will stick. Like people are really like wanting this to happen. Governments are even considering it. Yeah. Like for all levels of employment. Yeah. Like I was reading like I don't know what company it was, like Henry Ford. Like he used to be the owner of Ford. They were the first ones. So they used to have like 100 years ago. They used to have 6-day work weeks. Shit. And then because of like automation coming around, they were like, okay, we have machinery doing half the job. Yeah. So we don't need people working 6 days. We go down to 5. Yeah. So yeah, back then it was like radical as hell, like 6.
I presume they cut the salaries and stuff as well though to pro rata for 5 days. Yeah.
Back then, like there weren't like unions or whatever like looking after people that well.
The difference now is they're proposing keeping the same salary. I don't know if companies will actually do that or not. I presume they would, but
if like as we were saying earlier, like if the companies that do lower it, they say like you're working 30 hours a week. Yeah. And so you should be getting less pay. Yeah. They will get screwed over, like the ones that didn't offer remote.
Yeah, because you'd prefer obviously to go to the ones that are offering you full 100% salary and stuff. Yeah.
But yeah, I think with automation, like most jobs, like even with ours, like office jobs, we like before you had to be in person reviewing things and then giving your approval to everything. Now like half of the stuff is automated to an extent where your process, like you click a button and then it does something for you. If you're like in data processing, like it's mostly everything happens on its own. You run a bit of code, you review it every now and then saying, okay, I need to change these parameters. So you'll require less and less. Like you still need human involvement to like get to the conclusion, but because you require less and less, it doesn't make sense for people to be working long hours. Yeah. So I think it has the opportunity to be like something that will work. Secondly, it will like bring down a lot of like costs for companies and stuff like that, and unnecessary meetings. Cause like I join so many meetings which I shouldn't be involved in, and I'm just like sitting there like, oh yeah, this could have been a 20 second meeting or like a email, but we're wasting our time doing the discussion. So because if people are going, if it happens, like if people implement it and it goes down to like 4 working days, people will be like, okay, let's get rid of unnecessary meetings.
Yeah, because they have less time to deal with shit. And like, even with me, man, like some meetings, like for me, I go into some meetings and my meetings are generally with clinicians or business managers for specific departments and stuff, right? And some of them just don't give a shit. Like I'm there giving them the data. Yeah. And they're just going, yep, okay, yep.
Well, people still will go with their gut feeling kind of thing. Like they look at like, I'd kind of do like similar to you, like review a lot of numbers, come up with data models, this, that, the other. And then you present it to them and they just go, oh, yeah. Like it kind of, fits in with what we were thinking already. And they was like, why the hell did I waste my time, bro? Like you could have just made that decision on your own. So people still, I don't know if it's a generational thing, but people still prefer to rely on their gut than, just purely go by numbers. Yeah. We only look at numbers when it comes to like proving people wrong. Yeah. Yeah. So we're like, okay, that study you're looking at, it had a fudged up numbers. People become numbers experts, but when they know what they already want, they just look at the numbers and say, okay, it kind of fits in with what we've already thinking.
Sometimes it's hard to reconcile because in my field, like I'm in a hospital, so they're literally like clinicians are feeling more busy. They're feeling like they're seeing more patients and more complex patients and stuff. If I present them the data that says opposite, they're going to be like, okay, then what am I experiencing? Like, what do you mean?
Data can be fudged. That's the thing. Like what's that? Like, correlation doesn't mean causation. Whatever's happening could be happening, but the reason behind it could be something completely different to what we are thinking. So, what about like shift workers? I was thinking about like people who do like shift work. They can't really be benefiting from this.
Yeah, see, so one of the thoughts that I had was it might provide an imbalance between employment types, basically, or areas of employment. Yeah. Because you have the retail and hospitality and shift workers who are going to continue working their shifts and whatever because they need to operate 7 days a week. Yeah. So they'll have unless they hire more employees, which it doesn't really matter, but they're not going to get paid more. It's not like they're going to get paid $40 an hour instead of $30 an hour. That's not going to happen. Yeah. So it might, and it's kind of unfair when you think about it like that. Like I just sit at a computer, but I'm going to work 4 days for 24 hours or 30 hours or whatever it is and make my 100, 120, 80K, whatever it is. Whereas shift workers are probably going to make like 70, 80, 90K, if even that much.
And if they want to earn more, they would have to work a lot more.
And they're still working 5-6 days a week. So it's kind of like who's gonna work shifts at that point? If like 4 day work weeks for management and cushy desk jobs is the norm, why would you not want to work just even a data entry job for 50K? Yeah. 4 days a week, that's sweet. Like you're pretty much the same as shift work, except you got 4 days.
Oh, but I was thinking like they could do like, it might give people the opportunity. I know I'm going to bring this up later as well. Like say they're working 4 days a week at a data entry place.
Oh, another couple of days.
3 days they do shift work and then.
Yeah, you have those type of people. Like I know a couple of people who are working a job during uni and then just like a retail job or whatever at any sort of retail store, just casually or part time, and then they got their uni degree, they graduated, they went and got a full time job, and they've kept that job on the side 1 or 2 days a week on top of that, or they'll work a couple nights a week. Yeah. So it's really interesting to see, and like there are those types of people that the hustle culture and stuff that are happy to work a second job while they also
entrepreneurs, bro. Yeah, yeah. Everyone's an entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. It might be interesting to see if you'll get a few more of those type of people grabbing those jobs that aren't as appealing.
I was trying to do the maths in my head, like how many days would we be saving in terms of like not working days? So I think we work 250 days if we're like working every day, factoring in like there's 260 working days in a year. Yeah. Then you factor in like public holidays or whatever, it goes down to 250. Yeah. So if we're saving a day a week,
a fifth of that.
So
be 50 days, right?
50 days less. So like it will be 200 days roughly.
That's
we're working.
A lot, man.
But then it's gonna mess up like annual leave and stuff. Like they're gonna switch that up.
Yeah, so that's the other thing. So
we're not gonna get annual leave as much.
Yeah, but I don't know, because I mean. Yeah,
they're not going to give us like
true.
28 days of annual leave.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll, because I've heard of employees having mental health days or something. So I wonder if these initiatives, like, I mean, fax and sick leave and stuff, have been there for a long time.
I'm just imagining what Son would have said when you ended the health days.
He's like, what is this bullshit?
Who are these pussies, bro?
But yeah, I wonder if they'd have, because I feel like there's been a push to have like things like mental health days and stuff and initiatives for that sort of thing. But I wonder they'll probably take out some of that and then also not really have a push for things like mental health days and things.
Yeah. Even though employment rates are like good, but people are kind of underemployed. So do you think it will bring up more opportunities for people to find work with for working days?
I don't know if there'd be more opportunities though, because the presumption is that you're hiring the same amount of staff and they're more efficient in their work week now. So they're completing the same amount of work.
Yeah.
So there wouldn't be a need to hire more people.
Yeah.
I don't think it'd really open up employment. It might have effects on other areas of other fields, which I mentioned before. So shift work and stuff like that. And they might have to take on more people, or there might be a drop in numbers of people who want to work there. So other people might pick up jobs there and stuff like that. But other than that, I don't really see an increase or decrease. I feel like it should theoretically be a net neutral, right?
I don't know how productivity like is calculated. Like I was looking at numbers like, oh yeah, how do they measure like your economy is this efficient? Because there's a lot of factors going into it. But they can I've never looked at like the modeling for it, but they can bring it down to a number value, saying that the amount of work your labor force is doing is accumulating to this much dollar amount of like effort every week type of thing. And then so they did like a study, they've reviewed numbers. So like the more people that work, the less the productivity efficiency is going down. So if your workforce is working 40 hours a week, it's actually less beneficial productivity wise, because they're doing more work but it's not bringing the same value for money back. So they found like 34 hours to be like the prime spot for most economies now, but with this I think it's like 30 or 32 hours that will be it. So they're saying that so if people like do add in a couple more hours, productivity will be slightly up, but then anything past 34 hours, that's when it will start going down. If that makes sense.
Okay, that's interesting.
But I don't know how they calculate this stuff,
bro. But at the same time, like, man, if like I don't know if you have those colleagues or co-workers or whatever, but if you were a fly on the wall in someone's office, I guarantee like half the time they're not working. Like they're an hour lunch, you know, they go and get coffee or some shit. They go to the get some water. They chat to a colleague while they're there. Spend 15 minutes chatting. You know, in between, if you're in a shared environment, like half the time you're
go
chatting
to your
colleagues and
sit
shit.
on Reddit for
exactly,
a bit.
bro. Like it's like I feel like productivity is dog shit in office
environments.
You have your times where people will be, you know, they have a project due or something and they have to work really hard, and you know, Son is one of those guys. You know, he's always working. But I don't know. I feel like if you're on fly on the wall in some people's offices, like you really
don't have
see
to be a fly on the wall, bro. People are so loud inside an offices, bro. I was in the office like last week, and I hadn't been for a couple of weeks. So I just go in, I'm sitting there, and it's like because like people have been coming in and out, you don't have like matching days. So certain people I haven't seen since the pandemic happened. So I just see this one like woman. I was like, oh, I haven't seen her. She was in the other team. I don't have like a conversational relationship with her. So I just said hi, went back to sit down. Then out of nowhere, she like starts talking to her manager or like someone in her team. Bro, they just start talking about personal stuff like you should, and they're so loud, like person like 3 like blocks down could hear you. It's like, oh yeah, I think I've gotten fat over the pandemic. It's like, oh no, you look good. It's like, no, look at this belly. And she's shaking her belly, like showing all this fat. I'm like, and I look up and I'm like, bro, she's actually shaking her belly. And I'm like, I look back down, I'm like, I'm gonna focus on my work. And then she just brings up like, oh yeah, my mom came up and it's like, are you pregnant? I'm like, bro, what are you talking about, bro? And there people just like talk about like any and everything, and they don't have like a filter about like, oh, where are we? Should we be mentioning this or not? And majority of the time it's women, I'm not gonna lie, but I'm like, so people people like, I don't know if they, as you were saying, like people do find ways to just like distract themselves by like, oh yeah, I'm gonna speak to that colleague.
Yeah.
I don't even have anything to talk to them about, but I'm gonna distract myself. So, or they're on their phone, or but I don't know how your work is. They probably have restrictions on what websites you can be on and stuff.
Yeah, they do, but it's not really that restricted. Like we can pretty much go on anything as long as you're not on like
Pornhub or something.
I'm honestly thinking I've been and like streaming basketball, like live illegal streams and stuff for sport and shit. I know I've had issues.
Tried.
Yeah,
I've tried.
Yeah. And then
what about
I
YouTube?
presume
You can go on YouTube.
YouTube's fine, but YouTube has a lot of educational shit as well that you might need.
Yeah.
If it's like Excel or whatever it is.
What about Reddit?
I think Reddit. Yeah, Reddit's allowed. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Reddit has a lot of knowledge, bro. Like I'm stuck in
true,
this
like
code,
Excel
bro.
and shit. Yeah. And code. Yeah. But like slight off tangent, but I'm deathly scared of asking women if they're pregnant or not. I'll never do it. Even
have you done it? And then
no, but I've read horror stories, man. I've read some bad stories about it.
What's the best like way to like if
suddenly like ask?
Yeah, like what's the non like offensive way to ask that question?
But it's always like if they're not pregnant. No, I don't think it's inherently bad. I think it's bad if they're not pregnant and you ask if they're pregnant.
No. That's what I'm saying. Like, what is like a question you can ask without like making it sound like?
It could be like, oh, when are you expecting? And they're like, I'm not pregnant. And I'm like,
that's not the right
I meant
one.
like expecting me to come to your office.
Oh, okay. You do a double play on them. Okay. Yes.
And then be like, oh, are you pregnant?
Yeah. But you have to make it seem like you weren't the one asking the stupid question.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what I heard the other day. The guy was like,
that's smart, bro.
The guy was like white people if they don't want to be racist but they want to say something that's slightly racist. Just so let's be like for example, I'd be like, oh yeah, like black people love watermelon or something, and then like the other person would be like, is it like, are you racist? And like you say it in such a way that you have no clue that it's racist. Yeah. So it's on the onus is on them for like, oh,
it's like, oh, I didn't mean it even
I
mean it
didn't
that
mean
way.
it that way. Are you racist? Like, okay. What do you mean? Like, oh,
I'm gonna do this race play, bro. Like, switch it up on them. It's like, oh, you thought I was racist.
Yeah, that was a bad example, but like, you get the point.
Yeah, I'll come up with a better example sometime later. But yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, but women, especially at work, be talking about everything.
It's not really women. Like, I had this guy, this philo. Was he philo? Yeah, he was a philo guy. He would like dawdle into my office.
You have an office?
This was back then. It was a shared office. Okay. So it was like 3 of us in there.
Cubicle or office?
Office. So it's like,
you're big time, bro. I never had an office, bro. Yeah, okay, keep going.
This guy dawdles in, and he just stands there and he starts chatting to all 3 of us. And literally every day he was in the office, he would just walk in and just come in and just start, no, how's it going, guys? Like, what are you guys up to? He could talk to me about NBA and stuff, being philo and things like that. He'd talk about random shit like his kids' basketball and things like that.
Oh, he's an old man. Like, older
he's
man,
like older. He's probably in his 40s or something. And I don't know, it's stuff like that. Like, some people just want to get away from the desk and they don't want to work for like a period of time. And I get it. Like, I'll do that as well. Sometimes I just want to go for a walk, especially if it's like good weather. I go for like 15-minute walk or something. Just to get away from the desk, because I feel like sometimes it gets to the point where I'm not being as productive, so I need a short break, and then I can just go back and hammer at work.
Talking about small chat, bro. One time, this like senior executive in one of our groups, like he came up to me, and I had a half an hour conversation where he thought I was someone else. Bro, and I didn't have the courage to correct him, bro. He actually thought I was some other guy in his team. Yeah. So the other guy in his team is like probably Indian looking or whatever. So, and he only mentioned that person's name twice in that half an hour conversation. Yeah. So I was like, maybe he just mentioned him, but he's actually talking to me. Yeah. But then, bro, and then afterwards, we were in a meeting together, and then someone goes like, oh, Abob, what do you think about this? And then I looked at his face and he looked so puzzled. He's like, that's not Abob. I was talking to him like he was some other guy. Yeah. I had a half an hour conversation. He was like, oh yeah, that project work is going good. I was like semi-involved in the project, so it kind of made sense. So I was even like, okay, yeah, maybe he just forgot my name.
So it's like hard to gauge whether he actually was referring to you.
And then he ended the conversation. It's like, I'll catch you in the team meeting. Bro, I'm not even on your team, bro. That was the most awkward thing. And I've told people in my workplace that story. Yeah. They're like, oh, why didn't you bring it up with them? And I'm like, I'll do it when I'm leaving the team or whatever. Yeah. So that time is coming soon. I'm going to bring it up with them. So yeah, that kind of stuff happens a lot. Anyway, getting back to this, like we talked about like how logistically it could work, but do you think people will actually benefit from having, like in their personal life, actually benefit from having a 4-day work week?
I think for sure, not only people, I think society should benefit as well economically, right? If you have more time to spend outside of work, you have more. I mean, you got to fill that time out with something, whether it's going to cafes, going to a theme park, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that money is going to flow into the economy and everything. So I'm sure there'd be a boost in economy. You're the economist, but I'm sure there'd be a boost in the economy and everything. So I think there was a study done before, and 75% of employers said that it was too difficult. And I think some companies pulled out because it was too what was it? Operationally complex. Sorry.
Like it didn't fit the industry type of thing.
Yeah,
like
probably something along those lines. Like it was difficult because you'll always have a Monday or Friday or something usually, because I think normally what they propose is Monday to Thursday, most like half the workforce work, and then Tuesday to Friday the other half work.
But I think you're right, like people personally would love this, like
100%
for their personal life it would make sense, but like making it work for a company if you have like 20,000 employers or something crazy like that
would be a lot more difficult.
And then I don't want to be the person doing the paperwork.
Look, it will be difficult to implement, but I think once you implement it, it would be a lot easier. One of the things that would be difficult is rostering though, because you'd have to actively roster people potentially. Like unless you say no, like as a Monday to Friday, like no, you can't work Tuesday to Saturday. Like unless they are very strict on your work days. Like I feel like these days they're quite flexible. Like if you're a part-time, you work 3 days, you say, okay, I actually have to go to something on Tuesday. I might change my Tuesday day to Wednesday.
Right. So
I think if they're very strict with how they operate, it might be a lot easier to implement. I don't know how they've been doing it previously. But it'll be interesting. I don't think we've mentioned it yet, to see how the UK study, that the trial that started recently, where they've begun this.
A lot of companies involved.
It was 70 companies, and I think it was something like 3,000 employees. So it's
a good sample size.
Yeah, it's a big study. So it'll be interesting to see how that go, and obviously it'll be the most recent.
You can, like, you know how 2-day weekends, like you can't really plan like a getaway type thing. It might increase like tourism within your local areas. It's like, oh, I have 3 days off now. I can leave Friday night.
Oh yeah,
and then do a trip and then come back.
Just like a trip across, like domestic trip, or even in what do you call it, interstate and stuff like that.
And then if you take your annual leave, you take those 4 days off. So you add the 3 days on either side.
11 days?
10, 11 days. And then that's like a mini holiday for you.
That's
so
dope.
It's going to bring about flexibility. As you were saying, like it will help with industries like cafes, like people will be visiting more cafes now.
Tourism industries as well. Day trips will be a lot easier because, you're not ruining half your weekend by going on a day trip or something.
Childcare would suffer though.
Childcare would suffer, that's right. Especially if the partners stagger their work days. So they've covered like 3, 4, about 5 days from. You're right. Childcare is a ruthless industry though, bro. They pay a lot.
But that's the one thing I'm like, would I actually send my kid to childcare?
Yeah, bro, it's so expensive. Like I'm pretty sure it's like 50K or some shit for full-time childcare.
But at the same time, I don't think so. I trust myself to raise a kid, bro. I'm like, bro, let this other woman that you'll probably meet once a week raise you.
Nah, let Uncle Son raise him.
Nah,
raise him the right way, bro.
It's like gives him like
no mental health days.
Gives him like little bags of like cocaine and stuff.
Bro,
like, this is candy for you. But nah, man. That's one person that should be worried about. Whoever son marries is gonna get no help. But what was the last thing? Oh yeah, my sister and me were talking about this. Like, what day would you pick if, like, would you prefer a Friday off or a Monday off?
I would pick a Monday. I think.
What's your logic for it?
My logic is Mondays I always don't look forward. I mean, it would probably become Tuesdays, so it doesn't make sense. But
but like mentally, like, do we have that image of like Monday like being a sucky day kind of thing?
Honestly, it really doesn't make sense, my argument, because everything changes once you take out the Monday anyway. So I would be good with anything. If anything, I would actually probably prefer Wednesday
to be off. It's like a midweek off.
Yeah, so I break my work into 2 days each, but then I ruin my 3-day like potential trips and shit. Okay, I'd probably just stick with the Monday or Friday. It'd be interesting. What about you?
Like I think people just have this in their head, like, oh, Monday, they would prefer Monday. A lot more people are focused on Monday than Friday because they think like Friday is like a chill day anyway. I'm like,
That's true.
Because you're working 5 days, so like it ends up becoming that last day of the week becomes a chill day.
Yeah.
But if you're working 4 days, you'll just
probably won't be as bad.
Yeah, it'll be like a regular work day.
And theoretically, you're more productive as well.
Yeah.
So.
TGI Fridays.
I don't know pragmatically what happens.
Yeah. So you're personally in favor of this. You want it to come around.
Personally, I'm in favor. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see how it operates, and as you said, I'm sure there's like heaps of naysayers and stuff as well.
Yeah.
But also suck, man. Like, imagine if you like retired 3 years ago, right? and then all these people are now working from home. Like, bro, you're like some.
Oh yeah,
suited,
if you retired 2019, bro.
Yeah, bro,
you didn't.
Bro, you worked like 40, 50 years. You're some suited wage slave, big exec CEO or some shit. Work, 15-hour days, 12-hour days, on call all the time. And then the pandemic happens. Everyone's working from home. 4-day work week happens.
Inflation goes up. Everything's rising.
It's
like, bro, what's
shit, bro?
What did I do?
I was alive at the wrong time.
If you let's end on this. Like, if you had like now you have 3 working days or 3 days off essentially.
Yeah.
Would you like pick up like a side passion or like some passive income type situation?
I would try.
And what would that be? If you had to like
look, passive income, I would always work towards starting some sort of business with minimal input. Or just being, if someone presents me with a business
minimum
idea
input.
or something, as in like passive in the sense that I don't have to do much. So I don't want to.
Something weird came to my mind. You could give up your sperm and like people will help out people that need it.
Yeah, but then I have to give up my sperm.
It's like you have it in abundance right at your age.
All right.
Yeah.
Can you link me up?
I've legit like not that I've considered it, but like I've heard people like 5 or 6 people that they have thought about this.
Yeah, because they give you like a $500 payment or some shit. I
don't know about the payment, but like they've considered it. I'm like, okay, that's a weird passive income.
I think someone mentioned it to me before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have this side hustle. What do? I give up my sperm, bro. But yeah, I don't know what I would do. Like one, it will give me time to edit podcasts a lot better. So maybe we can make improvements on the podcast. But a podcast is not going to make us any money anytime soon. So yeah, I'm going to probably consider like maybe people will start focusing on like investing a lot more.
I don't think so. I think people would just become a bit more social.
Yeah.
Like you'd have time for hobbies, business, investments, that sort of thing as well. But I feel like people would just become more social. Like you'd have more time to catch up with friends and things. So I think it would be, or like, I don't know, if you have close friends or something, you'd probably more often, okay, let's catch up weekly or something, or every couple weeks. Yeah. Again, it would be a boost to productivity, economy, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Because you go in cafes or whatever. Yeah. Or you might just make that trip to the beach, which is...
Well, I have a feeling Son will still be bored, bro.
Bro, I'm sick of that guy, man.
He's
so bored, bro.
Yeah. He's in like a South Asian country somewhere, and I think he's still bored, bro.
He's like, bro, yesterday, 2 days ago, he was like, oh man, our reel views are dropping. Bro, our last couple reels haven't been hitting.
Bro, you're in freaking Indonesia or whatever.
Bro,
like,
focus on your environment, brother.
Anyway, and no other points?
Nah.
Okay, done. I think we're doing good. People like, good 40 minutes. That was quick.
Damn.
Anyway, that's it for another episode. Yeah, we're in favor of this 4-day work week. Hopefully it happens soon in Australia. And yeah, let us know what you guys think as well. This has been another Trash Talk experience. You can watch this on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. And are we really doing TikTok?
I haven't, ever since we had our hiatus, I haven't updated it, but I'll get back on it.
Okay, yeah, you can follow us on our Instagram and TikTok, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.